Hello everybody and welcome to another SD1 video. If you're not subscribed, please make sure to do so. It really does help me out and help support the channel and support these beautiful beasts. And you get to keep up to date with them as well. So in this one, we are going to be doing a few things with the SD1. As you can see, a few things have changed. We're going to be putting the interior back together. We're going to be sorting a leak out, which you're going to want to stay tuned for because it's absolutely ridiculous. And we're going to be trying to get it to move. So without further delay, let's get right into the video. The first task on this rather misty day was to stick the back of the car back together. If you saw the last video, you'll know that we took the entire back of the car to pieces, basically all the trim and everything, to get to all the electronics. Main reason why, because they didn't work. Like with a lot of older cars, they just break. And it's not just isolated to British cars, because we've got a Ford Cortina as well, and that's always broken. So, took that to pieces, cleaned it all up as well, and now we need to stick it all back together. It's just a wonderful foggy day with some 80s music on in the background and this absolutely menacing SD1 poking out of the mist onto the street. Just a real fantastic project and a really, really good day. We stuck it all back together, cleaned it all up. It's sort of like a rebirth of the car when you clean things up and put it all back together. It's sort of giving it my own mark, if you will. This car, of course, is going to be my daily driver, which is going to be absolutely fantastic to sort of see this car about again. If a lot of you do, well, some of you do, some of you don't. I do have an Instagram as well. You can see a lot of that on there. I like a lot of old stuff. I like a lot of retro things. I'm not really into the modern stuff. I'm not into getting a new car every 2 years to impress my neighbours. I'm not into all of that, you know, new phone every year business. I'm just not really that bothered. I like the idea of sort of seeing something grow old, if that makes sense, and then bringing it back to relevance, which is kind of what we're doing with this. We're bringing the SD1, this SD1, back to life after 17 years of not being on the road, with its last MOT expiring, I think it was in 2006. So it's even pre-DVLA online records. Of course, I've got a few other things, antique radios, all that sort of stuff, collect vintage computers. You know me, if you know me, it's that this is the sort of thing I like and absolutely love old cars, and this is just what I love doing. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant car. So that's it, guys. We've got all the boot reconstructed. This has all been treated, all the rust on there, and you can see it's not flobbering about anymore. This doesn't flobber about near as much, but it is a fiberglass one. I do need to get a rubber one. And this has been put in. Now I know the silver screws, the new screws aren't the prettiest, but I'm not the biggest fan of sticking really crappy screws in here that don't, that I'll eventually chew the heads on. Also this works, as you can see there. So that's nice, that's another electrical component we've got working. So the whole back of the car, all the electrics in the back of the car are perfect now. So we'll move on to the next bit. So you join me at a bit of a critical point now, and it's sort of the point where this car's starting to really annoy me. It's leaking. So I'll show you here. Oh, we've got the central locking working again. So of course we've got the washer jets, everything's working. We're all ready for our MOT minus the clutch. So what we've got to do now is find out why it's leaking, because I ain't putting them seats back in until it stops leaking. So what we're going to do, stick a hose on the roof, see what it does. I'm just going to sit in it and see. Got my ThinkPad, why not? They're pretty sturdy little things, and we'll see why she's leaking. Usually you'd chuck a smoke bomb in the car or something, but I don't have one, I just have water, so we'll do that and we'll see how it goes. When was the last time you had someone stick a hose in the top of an SD1? Anyway, so this is the side that's leaking. It's not doing very well though. It's leaking from here, it's leaking from here. That's ridiculous. Why? Why is it leaking so bad? Oh, the sunroof isn't sealing properly. It's leaking from the windscreen. Okay, I've had enough of that now. Let's turn it off. Yeah, so we found out where it's leaking from. it's even coming down from the stupid guttering. Oh my gosh, what a brilliant car that is. Right, so we know where it's leaking from. Sunroof. Bloody hell, bloody leaky. You tit. So it leaks from here, somewhere in here. So we've isolated it to this area, and up there. Oh, your pants, aren't you? But I love you so much. So we'll now go and see what we can do in regards to that problem. But yeah, it's not looking very promising, is it? Especially that was absolutely dripping on there. That's so funny. So we'll investigate the sunroof first. It might just need cleaning and sort of reseating. So yeah, we'll check and have a look at that now. I've not really had that many leaky cars, to be honest with you. The Maestro was a bit of a colander, if you will. It was a bit leaky sometimes, but it was never as bad as this ST1. But what do you expect when it hasn't been on the road in so long? Of course, the Storm, I think it was Storm Kieran, was sort of, it's going to be in the area, I think at the time. It was going to, you know, destroy my life and knock a wheelie bin over. So it was time to really batten down the hatches. So this was sort of a precautionary measure. I really didn't want to put the interior back together and put it all, you know, get it so it was all nice, and then end up in a situation where I have a soggy carpet again, because I absolutely cannot stand cars being damp. Good thing I buy British Leyland, Austin Rover and all this other old crap like old Fords, because they are literally damp magnets. So with the SD1, you've got these really coolly placed drains. So you've got one here, one there, and one there. Now they go to these little pipes that then go through the car to the floor. However, this one appears to be leaking somehow. So it does run inside of here, so I can't really do much with it. Question I have is it split somewhere? What I'm probably gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to do the running water test again. I kind of don't want it though. I mean, what would the stupidest alternative be for now, just to keep the bloody thing dry? I think for now, as stupid as it sounds, I am going to block that up. You may be saying, Tom, that is the stupidest idea you've ever come up with. Yep, and I don't care. So I'm going to block that up, just for now. So when this storm rolls in, I don't get a terrible swampy car again, and we'll come back to it. So let's do that now. So now we've done that, I've sort of cleaned the floor. I'll put this here as a bit of a tester, so if it gets wet. I noticed at the bottom of the windscreen there was a lot of wet there, almost like it was seeping through. So rather than reseal it, which will take ages, I've just stuck a bit of universal gasket in there to see if that cures it a bit. Of course, we've done our bodge there, and we've done our actual fix in. And I'm not going to say these aren't all bodges, they are. But the main thing is to get the car on the blooming road, because we've been waiting ages. And then when it goes in for its big thing, which the plan is next year when the Cortina's gone, or finished, whichever, we'll then of course sort it out. But yeah, let's carry on, I guess. So here we are in the SD1. I've got the beams formed, and if you don't know what I mean by that, oh, it's even more terrible. I'm just trying to get these bloody things to actually spray straight, because cleaning that isn't really doing the car any favours. But there's a lot of washer fluid, which is nice. So when I say washer fluid, I mean a lot of water. But everything's working now, so that's absolutely sound. We've installed the what you call it, the washer bottle, new washer pumps. Very happy with it. Now we've sorted this leak out, because there's now no sunlight up there, so that's how we call fixing a leak. Basically the sunroof seal had like shrank a bit, so I just needed to sort of attack it, and yeah, she's all right. The only thing I don't really like about SD1s is that this stock is very annoying, because it's not, you know, exact with that stock. I'd imagine the resting position being here, so it looks happy, like a happy version of Shrek, but nope, that one has to go down. So we've done that. Only thing really left, sort that out. We've fixed the central locking. Well, I say we've fixed it. Let's have a look again. I think it fixed itself, because I had a go about it and called it terrible. Oh, you stupid thing. You can't just break yourself again. That's not how this works. We're supposed to be a team. Why would you just do this to me again? I don't know, it's time to wiggle some... Oh no. can hear something now. Right, okay, let's just have another go. Yes, it works. There we go. It's not bad, is it? Just took a bit of an attack. I think it's that switch in there that just needs a bit of lubricant. So I'll do that, and then hopefully we should be out of the woods in terms of the whole stupid central locking situation. After the central locking deciding to fix itself, it was then time to put the interior back together. Pretty easy job, to be honest with you. Probably that's why it's so easy to fall straight back to pieces again. But joking aside, this is a really, really easy car to work on, and I'm really surprised and impressed. With the Rover 800, which is the car I sort of had in tandem with this at one point, it was just such a pig to take to pieces inside. This, in my opinion, is the better Rover of all of them and the better car. Another thing as well that this lends itself to is ghetto engineering. In this example of the aforementioned ghetto engineering, you can sit there and swing off of a drain pipe and stamp on your seat rail mount to then straighten it out again. If that was a Rover 800, it probably would have bent and then had a bit of metal fatigue and then cracked. The Rover SD1 is just a fantastic piece of kit. Motorsport heritage, legendary status, featuring in several high-profile, events in the 80s and 70s. It's really sad how the SD1 sort of ended up having a bit of a period where it was just sort of hated. Yeah, there was obviously issues with it, as there was with many cars in the 80s and 70s. But to be honest with you, these have aged better than a lot of their counterparts, I would say. You don't really see Renaults from this generation hanging about anymore. But it's a fantastic car. It really, really is. And cars back then weren't built to the silly standards they are today, and they certainly weren't made all out of plastic, which this car isn't. I do not mind this position at all, boys. Look at that. We're in. The seat's so nice and clean as well. Look at that. Gorgeous. Of course, I've scuffed it up a bit already. Again, these probably won't be the final seats for the car. They will be for a while. I'm using it as like a daily. But, god damn. And the thing is the clutch is a bit of a pain in the arse, to be quite frank with you. Yeah, I've got a bit of a clutch issue at the minute. Yeah, I don't feel right at all. I'll have a look at that in a bit. In the meantime though, this is literally so, oh my god, this is so luxurious and nice. This seat's so plush. This is incredible with leather stitching. Well, sorry, leather with its stitching. Don't know, is that normal? Tell me if that's normal. I don't know. Seat's so nice, carpet's so clean. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it so much. And that reassuring thud. That's proper, that. That is proper. I'm very happy, as you can tell. A bit late at the minute, so I kind of shouldn't be doing this, but do you really think illness is going to stop me from messing about with the SD1? Absolutely not. So our next thing, which I'm probably not going to be filming because it's so boring. Oh, and with the leak stopped as well, this is like so dry and nice. It's amazing. I just need to hoover this all up before I put the other seat back in. So I'll put the other seat back in, and then we might turn to the door cars, we might not. I've noticed the lovely plastic is broken on this one, which is great, so I'm gonna have to replace that. Yawn. Yet another one to replace. I'll take that off now. I'll just put the thing in there. Oh no, I've lost the light down there. God damn it. Oh well. Yeah, the handle's broke. I'm not going to bother with a stupid old glue trick because it never works. Just replace it. I've got plenty of them. Yeah, there's loads of random markings in there. There's a G. There's this, which isn't from me. There's a S on there. Don't know. Anybody can shed any light on it, let me know. But oh my gosh, I know this is boring as oak sometimes for you guys, but oh, if you knew what this felt like to be in, some of you might do, some of you won't. Oh, it's fantastic. It's just jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Fantastic interior. Everything's so click. Speaking of clunk click, I didn't put my seatbelt on my seat. Well, I need to put that on, don't I? Because clunk click every trip, as I've heard. So we'll do that, and then I'll be back in a minute. So now it was time to investigate the clutch situation. So I bled it up again, as you can see here, with one of these easy bleed kits. Can you believe that the Gunson one is £30 from Screwfix, but the Blue Spot one is 12 quid on Amazon? I know, right? And the moan that retail is dying out. Got it all together, started bleeding it up, and then the plastic the plastic on the actual bit where it attaches to the tyre then broke. So then it kind of invalidated what I said before, because sometimes you need to pay a bit more money for a bit more quality, and you need to look after your tools so they look after you, as I found out several times. But it bled up pretty nicely, and then it didn't make any difference, so we moved on to the next step. Unfortunately, I needed to face the music. The clutch was probably seized. Hello boys, right, so I'm going to explain my logic behind this. I've watched the video, D3S Shooter I think his name is. Mates give me some good advice. What you should do, run the car in gear and then basically stamp on the brake with the clutch depressed. That'll then release it from the flywheel, because I think it's rusted to the flywheel, and then yeah, that should work. So I've got it jacked up, as you can see, a bit. I'm going to obviously, you know, sort that out a little bit. You can see she's been heating up, so I'll stick you here and you'll either see absolute disaster and the world's crappiest SD1 burnout, or you'll see a clutch get released.
turning at like a decent rate, right? Then this wheel is just sort of having a bit of a twitch out. Now, if you rev the bollocks off it, it does move. You can hear that in there. I think something is seized in there, because I didn't get it spinning yesterday. I reckon we've got some issue with the brake shoes in there, the braking system, or the handbrake seized on. But I can't imagine that, because, well, then again, no, right, it could be the handbrake. We'll have to keep trying our little thing, and then we'll have to keep going from there. Has to be something else. I don't think it seized to the flywheel. It could be, it could not be, but it might be something else. That wheel though is a right mess. We need to sort that out. So I reckon I'm gonna whip that off and have a good look at it. She's all up in the air already, so I may as well just get on with it. Okay. Right, so got that off. That's the handbrake cable, isn't it? So, and that's like the actuator for it. Obviously the drum, the very rounded off screw, a very rusty drum. Let's go have a look at the other one and see how that cable looks. Luckily we do have a side that is actually not crap, so we can look at the cable. No, that's still a bit weird, that one. That's still about the same, I'd say that's about the same. Is my handbrake on now? What a pillock, what a moron, he's left his handbrake on. What's he doing? Trying to test it. Right, now let's have a look. Yeah, I'll leave this stuff in because slack is out. Yeah, that's slack. I bet you the other side's exactly the same. I bet you I should. Nope, I can't move it. So we need to somehow get that off. Soak it a little bit. Is it just that one screw? You think it is just that one and then you knock it off? That's so weird. Okay. So we're happy that the handbrake moves about sort of as we'd expect it to. It's whatever's in there is stuck. I'm not going to spray inside that, don't worry. It's whatever's in there that's stuck. So we need to look at that. Yes. I also wouldn't mind covering that plate over. with something decent, because that's a horrific mess. So leave that with me, I'll try and get that off in a few. You are about to watch a man chimp out without the right tools, because I don't have a hammer for some reason and I seem to refuse buying one, so I just use everything else. I'm going to buy a hammer, I've got to be honest with you. I kind of need to do that because I'm using every single tool possible. I'm going to pull out like an iron in a minute, and then probably, you know, like a blender, a whisk, you name it. I've tried it to get something off, but eventually it did come off, which is great. And we then were sort of greeted with the wonderful amount of dirt that you didn't unfortunately see because I forgot to record it. There was a decent amount of dirt there that came out of there, and you can see there it freely spins. So I'm thinking probably there was just tons of dirt in there and it was time to give it a good old clean up. If you remember, this car has been sitting for quite some time, and it also sat in a barn for a bit, so we really did need to give this a good old clean up and have a good test and see if it would work after that. To be honest with you, these have a decent amount of meat left on them. They're not seized, they move freely. All of these have been cleaned up, they move. So I'm thinking I clean this inner up, and then what we do is we assemble it again and see if that solves the problem. But this was absolutely covered in mud, so I would be interested to see if it freewheel spins with the with that off. Actually, I might have to give that a go. Right, let's give it a go. Now I've got that back on, you can see it's nice and free. Cleaned a load of crud out of there, loads of dirt, so let's whack her on in gear and see what she looks like. There you go. And handbrake, solid as a rock. I reckon when we do the main build we'll rebuild all this, but for now I'm happy with that. Let's make sure she can get through an MOT first before we start messing about with anything else. What I believe the problem to be, you see our clutch slave cylinder there, that basically under hydraulic pressure pushes like a big thing forward, which then pushes this pin in, which then pushes the selector lever thing like that against all the release bearing and all that stuff, blah blah blah. You don't need to know that. I think there's a very specific way of installing this, and I think what I've done, or what's happened, is either that it's seized, the clutch is seized to the flywheel, or the rod is come unstuck from this, or perhaps from the actual selector, the selector lever thing itself. So I'm going to have a go at that. I'm also going to give it a push or two with my foot safely as possible and see how that goes. I might also lower it a bit onto the axle stands because I put them there for safety, but I don't really trust owning one thing and a bit holding the car up, especially when I'm going to be ragging on it like that. So I'll do that and I'll be back shortly. At this point I realised it was pretty pointless recording me trying to make excuses for myself of why this wasn't working, and I decided to sort of come to the realisation that maybe I'm completely incorrect and it's time to grow a pair of balls and sort the clutch out properly. So I'll give it another try at the unstick method that I showed you guys earlier, and I'll let you know how that goes. If you guys have any suggestions, I'd appreciate it. I think probably taking a leaf out of Nitro Silver's book, or Nitro Silvia, forget his channel name, but he's an absolute legend. I'm probably going to take the box off, change the clutch, got a new clutch and flywheel anyway, so may as well just get on with it. If that doesn't work, then bloody hell, I don't know what will, but I think, to be honest with you, I just kind of need to face the facts that the clutch is definitely stuck to the flywheel somehow. So that'll be what's covered in the next video. But with this one, just to recap, what we have done is sorted out the leaky interior, put the interior back together after that, and obviously dried the car out, got the rear wheel unstuck, and a few other things as well, like getting the washers working. That wasn't actually too hard because the wiring was actually working, which is great. So we've done a fair amount in this, and this is very, very, very close to the road, to the point where I actually had an MOT booked the other week, but sadly had to cancel it. Of course, I cancelled it for a reason. One, I didn't want the chance of it failing, and two, I didn't want it showing up like a crock of poo. So yeah, I think with an MOT as well, the leniency of the tester is also dependent on how you present your car. So if you turn up with a McDonald's chucked in the back, they're going to be a bit more picky, because what else could you be hiding? Tom's MOT tips for a guy that's got many MOTs due shortly, and I need to take those tips up. But this car, to be honest with you, is really close to the road. All I need to do now is firm up the door cards with a bit of fiberglass, sort out the headlining, and obviously fix this, which I've obviously already mentioned. So once that's all done, then we will be MOT ready. So next video on the channel will be a really ace video on the SD1s that you didn't know or might have forgotten existed. And not a lot of information out there, so I'm doing a lot of research on that, hence why this has been posted beforehand, because I want to make that as complete as possible. And generally, I've been cracking on with this SD1. I spent most of my week off underneath it, or messing about with the my radio upstairs, my 1950s Pi radio, which I absolutely love. So yeah, thank you for watching, everybody. Keep watching. Remember to subscribe for more of this, and I will see